Hello, you're welcome to Ireland and you're welcome to Vinnie's Day Off. Today I'm going to build a survival shelter using this small folding knife and the contents of my pockets. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm not a bushcrafter as seen on YouTube, neither am I a survivalist as seen on YouTube. I'm just a country guy who likes the outdoors. But a certain amount of bushcraft is useful, and a certain knowledge of survival is prudent for an outdoors person. So I watch videos and I poke around in forums. And every now and again the question comes up, can you use a folding knife as a survival knife? And the answer is always the same, no, because it'll fail at the joint, and anyway, it would close in your fingers. Now I've always found this unfair and it's always gotten under my skin. I've been using mainly inexpensive folding knives all of my life since I was 7 years old, and I've never yet seen one to fail at the joint. Also, even though I've done many stupid things, I've never managed to close the knife in my fingers. Can it close in your fingers? Yes. If you're drilling with the knife, it can certainly close in your fingers, so you need to choke up and keep your fingers out of the way, or if you're clumsy, don't drill at all. Also, if you try to puncture or stab something hard, say like plastic, yes, it can certainly close in your fingers then. But if you use the knife as it was meant to be used to cut with, the cutting action forces the blade open. And as I say, I've never managed to close it on my fingers. So I've decided to do this test. I'm going to carry out some survival actions. I think this will manage. If I'm wrong, it'll fail at the joint and I'll look foolish, or it'll close my fingers. That should make you very happy. Let's see how we get on, guys. Okay, this is the contents of my pockets. I have a pair of light working gloves. I have a good share of baling twine. If you want to see my video where I discuss baling twine, click on the link. I have a piece of light rope, some garden twine, and my first aid kit, which is just a wound pad, some band-aids and a couple of survival blankets. This is my little knife. The main blade cutting edge is 1 3/4 inches. The smaller blade, which I call the crappy blade, is just over 1.5 inches. It's a small old knife, so if anything is going to fail at the joint, this will. Okay guys, so here we are. Here's my little knife, if you can see it. I'm going to make an A-frame shelter, and I want this for the main ridge pole. I need a pole about 10 feet long. This fits the bill. This is a piece of willow. So to cut this, I'm going to put a bit of a bend in it. And cut it here at the base. There we go, can you see that? Great little knife. To cut the top of it, it's fairly simple, it's reasonably light. I can just slice through that with my little knife. Excellent, that's the ridge pole. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I cut the poles to length. This is one of the lighter ones, and I need to cut it maybe here just around this knot. So all you do is you make a series of cuts right around your pole. And then you just bend it. Thus. And I'll show you now on a heavier one. So around here. So same process. Gone a little offline here. I just make a second slightly deeper cut. That's my little knife. Yeah. That might be enough, we'll try that. No problem. That's reasonably thick. Okay guys, just in case you think I'm going around killing a load of trees, I'm not. All these poles I'm cutting are willow, and when you cut willow, it's almost impossible to kill the stuff. It just shoots out a load of branches and grows again. That's what you're looking at there now is a stump that was cut. It's growing under some power lines, so it gets cut down on a regular basis, and as you see, it just sends out a load of shoots and keeps growing. It's an extremely vigorous plant. Also, I've peeled the bark from the bottom of the poles because when you stick it in the ground, it's highly likely that it'll take root and grow. So to stop it, it's so vigorous, to stop it growing, I've peeled the bark off. Okay? To form the roof on my shelter, I'm going to fall back on my Irish heritage. All of the houses around here in the olden times were thatched, usually with oaten straw. But if they didn't have oaten straw, they couldn't afford it maybe, they would use rushes like these. So I'm going to cut bundles of these and use these to thatch my shelter. No problem. Okay, so I've had to crack on with the shelter, or else this video will be about 2 days long. So I've got it tacked together basically. Just a few points. Some of my heaviest stakes, when I got them back, I realised that they were too short. So the two old sayings, measure twice and cut once, or you can always take a bit off but you can't put it back on, they hold true. So I had to hustle for a few more stakes. These are a little lighter, but it's still a perfectly strong little shelter. Also, the reason I wear these gloves, I'm not one of these guys that have to put gloves on every time to pick up a knife. But this little knife is quite slim, and if you're doing a lot of powerful cutting, it's quite hard in the hands. You'll end up with a handful of blisters, believe me, I know. Anyway, I'm not the greatest expert in building shelters. The whole purpose of this is to make a point about folding knives. Right, let's crack on. Okay guys, so here's the finished product, and here comes the rain just on time. This is the other side. As you can see, I just bent the brushes over the top, and I clipped them in place with a hazel pole. And this is the front of it. This is my door section. To be honest, there's much brouhaha on YouTube about cutting and what have you. Cutting the poles was the easiest part of this. It was a lot more work than I thought, and I couldn't believe the amount of rushes I needed. That was my biggest job. I'd say it must have taken at least 4 hours, just going around picking the best and getting them back here. This little shelter also used quite a lot of twine. It's just as well the baling twine is cheap, and I have lots and lots of it. So guys, do I think I can cut poles and build a shelter like this using just a small knife? I'm not being cheeky or pompous, but I don't think it. I know I can do it. These little knives can do more than you think, and so far it hasn't failed at a joint or closed in my finger. Hope you enjoyed it guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.